Welcome back to another episode of Board Meeting. I'm Evan.
And I'm Robert at Blue Planet Surf Shop.
And today we're going to discuss a little bit about how to choose a board. You know, there's all kind of different constructions. There's this carbon type construction. There is a epoxy layup. They have, you know, soft tops. There are inflatables. So, you know, what's the deal here, right? Robert can help us explain that.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, that's like a lot of times customers will come in and not really sure what should they get and so on, and, you know, what's the right board for them. So, you know, when we always encourage people, you know, try as many boards as you can, demo them first, and we offer like our rental program where we give a credit towards a purchase. You know, all the rental fees up to $250, they can get a credit.
Or you just can go to a demo day too, right?
Yeah.
And then you can jump on everything
days.
and try the boards out.
Yeah, so, you know, do that as much as you can, try as many as you can, because, I mean, probably the most important thing is getting the right size for you, you know, like something that's stable enough to be comfortable on, that you can paddle and enjoy, but at the same time, narrow enough so it's a little bit challenging at first, so your balance improves and you get a good workout, you know?
Right.
So if you're too wide, then it's not really challenging after because your balance will improve quickly. So the width should
maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, if you're somebody that's going like once a month, and then the condition you were in Alamoana flat water, and then now you decide to go somewhere where it's rocky and stuff, it's gonna feel like an entirely different board. It's gonna feel small.
Exactly. So that, you know, what we're always asking people is, like, first of all, the consideration is your height and weight. You know, that's really important for the volume and the width.
Yeah.
Then with the conditions you want to use the board in, are you using it for racing, for surfing, for all-around cruising? You want to take your kids on the board, a dog, and whatever. I mean, so that all comes into it. Also, do you want to travel with it and so on? You know, like inflatables are great for traveling, especially rivers. You know, if you're going to paddle on rivers, you definitely want an inflatable
like
board
space, right? So if you're gonna inflate it and bring it down, maybe you don't have space to store 10-foot board or something like that. Then that makes, or a car that can really transport it. Then that's fine.
And then the third consideration is your skill level. You know,
right.
Like how good are you at it, and how much have you done it? So, because like I said, usually, you know, like the first few times you definitely need a much wider board. Then after even just a month of doing it, you can usually go quite a bit narrower. Like usually for a total beginner, like someone like my size, about 200 pounds, I would recommend going pretty wide, like 34 inches wide to start on. It just makes it so much easier, you know.
But you think that even a month? I mean, you gauge it that way, or it was like after a certain number of hours? You gotta gauge it by hours,
you know, a month if you go like a couple times a week. But if you're just going like once every couple of weeks, then it's going to take.
I'd say like 20 hours.
Yeah.
You know, I always say give it 20 hours, and you should be able to either decide whether you like it or not.
And the conditions are super important, you know. So if you live on a lake where it's never windy, then, you know, it's always calm, flat water, then you can definitely use a narrower board. And in that case, too, you would want a longer board that just glides well, tracks well. You don't need a surfing board that turns well, because you want to just go in straight lines quickly, right? So a narrow longboard will be better for that kind of use. You know, if you live on the beach and you want to surf every day, then, you know, you would want to start on a more all-around type of surfing board.
But don't you find that most people that come in, they're not like the shredder kind of guys or gals, right? It's kind of like, I'm kind of new at this. It's a great introduction into water kind of board sports, because it's, you know, fairly simple to learn, and there's a lot of equipment nowadays. I don't know. When people ask me all the time, it's like, well, what do I do? The first question I ask is, how much do you weigh? Because if you're under like 170 pounds, you're kind of on it, right? If you're over 200 something pounds, you start to get a little bit more limited, and your skill level comes into play like way more.
Yeah, I tell my guys that's kind of a rude question to ask directly. How much do you weigh?
Yeah, but
so it's kind of like, how old are you and how much do you weigh?
I don't know.
But
I'm not in a store, so I ask them like,
I tell them to gauge it. You know, like, you know, is it a big heavy guy or is it a small petite lady? You know?
Okay, yeah. So if it's girls, maybe not. Yeah.
But definitely you want to. That's an important thing to consider, like how tall are they. Also, you know, the height makes a difference too. The taller person will have a higher center of gravity than if it's a real stocky, short guy. Then he might have an easier time balancing.
I mean, you know, sometimes you can get these really strong women, but anytime most women ask me like, what should I get? I always tell them the lightest thing that you can carry, because if you're not going to carry the thing, you're never going to ride it. And if someone's not there to carry it if some of them expect, oh, so my husband will carry it for me or so on. But if they're not there, and then you're never going to use it. So I would say for women in particular, you get something light that you're going to carry.
Yeah, I agree that the weight is very important, and the most important thing is that you're going to use it, because if the board's sitting in your garage, and I see that happen a lot with guys that are overconfident in their abilities, and they're like, oh, I can surf, I want a small short board type surfboard.
Which means all guys.
Yeah, almost all guys.
Yeah. All guys overestimate their ability, period.
Anyways, but then they end up with a board that's really too small for them. They struggle a few times, and then they kind of give up on it, and it sits in their garage, you know. And then, you know, so what good is a board that sits in your garage, right? It's better to get something that's kind of a dorky beginner board, but you use it all the time, and as you progress, then your second or third board can be like that high performance.
Don't you find that when you go on lessons, it's like, okay, so what's your skill level? Oh, I got good balance. I'm super in shape. Yeah, blah, 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 guys, whatever. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to try this small one. Oh, you should try this one. No, I'm going to try this one. Okay, and then after about an hour of swimming, you know, because they can't stand on it, then they switch off. Okay, I might, or they might not, ever.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I would say guys will, well, some guys, not some guys will actually take your advice too, and but yeah, so a lot of times it's kind of a game like between, you know,
the more alpha male they are, the less they want to take what you have to say.
You don't want to insult their, you know, their egos either, but you know, sometimes you have to steer people away from that board that they think they want, because you know it's not the right board for them. So yeah, sometimes that's can be a kind of a tricky thing, you know. And ideally, like if they insist on getting a small board that I feel is not going to be the good board for them, I usually tell people, hey, you know, we'll sell it to you, but I would recommend demo it first. You know, we have one of these in our rental fleet. Try it out. You know, paddle it a bunch, and then if you still feel that that's the right board for you, then yeah, by all means, we'll sell it.
Plus,
to you.
it's like use it in the area that you're going to actually use it, because you know you want to demo it here. You're going to go to Alamon and paddle in flat water and go, I can stand on this small board, no problem. And then you end up going to, you know, somewhere else that there's actually waves and chop, and you can't even sit on the thing. You know, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and in the waves too, there's more water moving around, currents, and so definitely. I mean, when I do first time surfing lessons, I always take a big board. This makes it easier to catch a wave. You know, you're not going to catch a wave on a small tippy board.
It's like golf, right? You can instantly get better initially by getting better equipment most of the time, unless you already have the best equipment. But you can, you know, you're trying to play with those small woods they used to play with before, you instantly get better playing with the giant head drivers and stuff. It's the same thing as this. Get it a little bit wider. I don't know. I always like to tell people to get it a little bit easier at first, because if you go, especially the first few times you go, if you can't do it, there's a tendency for people to just quit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the biggest thing. I think that you want something that you're going to use a lot and enjoy. You know?
Use it.
It should still be challenging. Like, sometimes I've heard people also saying the opposite, where they're like, "Oh, you know, somebody told me to get this 12-foot NSP, and it was just like it was okay for the first few times, but then now it's just way too big, and you know, after a month or two, they're already ready for the second board." And you know, in that case, I would say, yeah, maybe that was a little bit too big for you, but
yeah, they're like 142 pounds or something.
Exactly, yeah, and if they're not that heavy too, and if they're using it on flat water too, you know.
Yeah,
so if somebody like me comes in the shop, like my size and weight, I would usually recommend like something like our 10.6 multitasker, we call it. It's like 34 wide. It still surfs well, you know, for its size. You know, it's wide and stable, but easy to use, long enough to sit two people on it, you know. But you know, you can set it up as a quad even and still surf it pretty well, you know. So it's a good all-around board, and then, you know, as you progress, it still can be your go-to board for like the windy, rough days, or you have some friends visiting that want to learn. You know, it's like, you know, you're not. It's not that kind of a board you're always going to keep using. You know, it's not something that's going to be just sitting around. You know, versus like a super short, high-performance board that only comes out when it's like glassy and perfect waves. Then, you know, that's not a very, you're not going to get as much use out of it, really, you know. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd agree with that. Thanks for watching Board Meeting. We appreciate it. Robert and I are trying to do this a little bit more often, and hopefully these discussions are helpful for you guys. Please subscribe down here. Please subscribe. Put some comments below. We can answer your questions, and then please give us a thumbs up. If you want to give a thumbs down, don't do that, please. Just thumbs up.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.
Aloha.